Everybody, it's SelectionPDQ.com. Halloween's coming up. I dressed up like a nerd. I always dress up like a nerd. Anywho, tips and tricks. Lesser known features, things to make your lives a little easier. Maybe show you some things you didn't know you could do with PDQ Deploy and Inventory.
So this one is my favorite kind of webcast because normally we have to do all the prep work. In these ones, we just ask smart people what they do.
So pretty much you and I asked everybody in the office, which they're all smarter than us.
It's nice. They did all the work.
Absolutely.
None of the credit.
So thank you all for making Jordan and I look good. First tip, trick is filter for running deployments. So to do that, I'm going to build a super cool package that doesn't do a whole lot of anything. I'm going to call it disinformation because we're going to get some of disinformation. I shouldn't try to spell hard words. All right, so I'm just going to put a step in here, and we're going to do a sleep step for 30 seconds just so that I can have some deployments running so I can show you how to filter these. So at this point, I'm going to right-click on hopefully the right thing, which I finally did. Hit deploy once. I'm going to choose targets from inventory, whichever one. Okay, apparently we're going to send this to all the machines that have Chrome old on it. And hit deploy now. Now there's a running deployment. If you go up to all deployments, okay, here, if you right click on status and group by this column, you'll notice I've got running deployments there. Also, you can go down here and group by the status on the lower pane. And you can see I've got, these are the ones that are queued. These are the ones that are running. And if we sit and wait a minute, you'll see some initialize and that. So an easy way to see what you've got running and what's out there. Any thoughts, Jordan?
No, that's just one where, especially for larger environments, it makes it easier to kind of track what's happening and just kind of stay on top of it, if you don't want to wait for the report.
So basically we're making laziness for your eyeballs.
Laziness is, that's our business.
That's right. Colby?
And if you want to only see one specific status, then on the column header itself, there's a little icon. I think it kind of looks like a funnel.
Little funnel right there. Check it out.
You can just choose one.
Running. That's why Colby's here, to take it to the next level. Thanks, man.
Yep.
He's one of those smart people that helps out.
SMRT, baby. Stolen from Homer. Okay. All right. Another one tip and trick we got. A lot of people ask about the runner service where it runs. Can I change it? I will show you where you can change it. Now, just because you know you can change it and just because it's easy to change doesn't mean you should, and it doesn't mean the after effects of that aren't going to be rather difficult. So if you go to Options, Preferences, down to Target Service, you'll see, notice we're running in the admin dollar share admin arsenal. Reason we do that is every machine has an admin dollar share, and it's easy to find, and if you've got domain credentials or local admin credentials, you've got access to read and write to that. You can change that. That being said, and you can do, it's the same place in inventory. Caveat there, let's say you wanted to build a folder on everybody's, you want to run on a PDQ deploy or PDQ folder on the C drive. So you change this to computer PDQ. Okay, you will definitely need to make sure that folder exists on each machine. That's every machine in your environment. You read and write permissions on that are correct for the credentials, all the credentials you may be using to do that. So can you do it? Yes. Have a compelling reason to do it. And then Jordan did bring up a fact. What do you think, Jordan, if you're going to do it?
So I think if it's something you're dead set on doing it, then first create a package, like a PowerShell step that will create the file share and set all your ACL permissions and deploy that out and then change the share after the fact.
But pre-work there?
Staging first. Send it to staging, make sure that works, and then send it out. That way you're not having to handle that after you're not able to deploy out. I would, as default, say don't do it, but if you feel like you have to, just do the prep work before because it can be easier when you can deploy.
Colby, can you think of a reason that you would really want to do that?
I know that in some environments, the security team wants to disable the hidden admin share. And so in those environments, they need to use a different share.
Yeah. So, again, just be aware of what you're doing if you change that.
It's easy to change on our product. It's not easy to implement on your environment.
That is a good way to say it. Well, now that we've done a couple of things in Deploy, let's jump over to Inventory. So here's Inventory. Here's my machines. We're going to pick on Allen Rails today because it's right here at the top. Mm-hmm. So if I double click on Allen Rails, I'm going to show you that you can actually look at the processes on that machine, stop them, look at the services and restart them. A lot of people didn't know you could do this, but right over here, PRO, process. You can click on it. It's going to go pull the machine for the processes that are running there. And then you can stop those processes. Let's see what comes up and maybe we'll start killing stuff. What do you think?
I think that's the best way to handle administration.
We'll just start willy-nilly just killing stuff.
If you don't understand it, kill it.
I like it. All right, Adobe CEF Helper. First one on the list, I'm killing it.
Sounds good to me.
I look at Colby.
There's no one here to protect you from yourself.
There you go.
Just run
and
forward.
His eyebrow went up, but he didn't put his hand up. He says kill it, so that's up. All right, we just stop it. Hey, it comes up with a warning. Killing this process may have unexpected results. Game on. Click OK.
I'll tell you the results. You get some resources back.
It stopped it, and apparently it restarted on its own. So I tried, but you can do that there again, and then just roll down to services. There we go. There's all the services running on here. Nice thing, nice easy filter, PDQ. There we go. We have deploy and inventory on that machine. I'm going to restart the inventory service on Allen Rails. Now, if I were to restart the inventory service on this machine, obviously we'd have some issues. So if you're gonna, restart services, just understand before you start doing what I do, launching stuff randomly, you know what it's affecting on your end users' machines.
Deploy twice, test once.
Fair enough. That will not make it in our best practices video. It may make a story in there, but it won't be a best practice. We want to take a question?
Hey, Lex, Jordan, and Colby, I really would like to know how to deploy packages where the computers, which are online, are deployed immediately, but those which are offline get scheduled with a trigger, all in one go. Sincerely, Marcel L.
So we had this question last week.
Did we?
I think we did. Okay, so deploying with a schedule, but then having a trigger. Am I hearing that right?
I think what they may be saying is, so like when you do a manual deployment, like a deploy once, if targets are offline, they just fail. What they want is for those to instead get scheduled for later.
Oh.
So the first thing that comes to mind is the retry queue, but we usually recommend against the retry queue. It can cause some issues because it creates a whole bunch of deployments. One thing you could do is start with a schedule, and then you can manually start schedules whenever you want. So that would be one way to do it, and then you'll still have those triggers.
Yeah.
So build the schedule with only the heartbeat trigger, and then just run the schedule manually the first time. So that will send it out as a deploy once, basically, and then have the heartbeat trigger in place.
Trigger pick them up afterwards?
Yeah.
And then you'd want to check the stop running if it has deployed successfully.
It's interesting. My first thought was retry queue, and I'm like, I don't want to bring that up, but Colby did. So, but yeah, thank you guys for answering that one. Want to do another one, or should I keep rolling?
We have them. Yeah, let's do
another
one.
Hey guys, I am new to PDQ and so far loving the third-party updates. Can PDQ replace WSUS for all Windows updates? Sincerely, Kunal K.
Hey, Kunal. No.
We don't officially support like the creator updates because those take long enough to update generally that it stops checking in, so it may complete, but it's not going to report back as successful.
Yeah, and then, just in regards to replacing WSUS, Microsoft puts out a ton of updates to a ton of products that, some are very not widely used, I guess is the word. And so for us to maintain those packages would make us exponentially more expensive. So we still use WSUS here to pick up onesie-twosies, but any of the scheduling, the cumulative updates and security updates, we definitely use PDQ Deploy for. All right. Well, speaking of deploying and deploying updates and that kind of thing, let's talk about scan user credentials. In regards to multiple domains, in regards to workgroup machines. So if you go to options and credentials, you'll notice here we've only got the one domain here that I've got added, which is the web domain, and here is my default user. I've also got a local admin, Vincent. Now, if you decide, let's say I added a machine, we'll say Beth in this case. If you want to change this, it's a good place to look for this to see which scan user you've got, but if you go to select scan user, this originally got added by the Active Directory scan. Let's say it's a workgroup machine, so it has in this case, Vincent credentials. If you were to deploy to these, right, and here's the thing, right, so let's just do a Chrome deployment, we'll say. As I pop this up, you'll notice the credentials it wants to use is Quintana. Now, assuming that the machine Beth wasn't part of the domain, it would fail on that because of the username. What we have done is this checkbox right here, which is use PDQ Inventory scan credentials. So the nice thing is, we always talk about, brains and brawn. Inventory is the brains, deploy is the brawn. Inventory knows which scan user credentials to use, and if we tell deploy to use that, it's going to use those credentials. So I don't have to necessarily do a deployment for each work group or each domain. I can just do one to all the machines, and those credentials are taken care of on the back end. The other thing is if you go and do the same thing, let's say you schedule these, just make sure you go to options, do that same thing. Use inventory scan credentials.
This will allow deploy to use laps, as well as if you have multiple domains, you can, instead of having a different deployment per domain, you can deploy across all of them, and it will just use the credentials that you did scan with. So it makes it a little bit easier to get it all in one swoop.
Once again, laziness is the key. Automation.
Really good at lazy.
I love that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, upgrading to 19.1.96 or whichever, I guess 9.6, you need to have .NET 4.8. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually set your inventory to deploy that for you. To do that, go to Options, Preferences, .NET Installation. Now the first thing you need to do is have .NET Installer, so download it, select it, and then you got the automatic install .NET. You can tag that, and if a machine doesn't have it, it's going to go install it. I'm going to go add a machine by name, just one that I know does not have .NET on it, and then I'll show you how to kick it off manually. So there's Rick. It's going to come up here in a second and say, doesn't have .NET 4.8. At which point you can double click on this. It's running.
I'll do that. It's interesting to me, the amount of work we have to put in to remove automation to showcase in the webcast. Like we have to put in a lot of work to manually do this stuff.
Yeah, it took me about 15 minutes before the show to break a few things so we can do this. All right, there it is. It's showing it needs .NET, right? So I'm going to open the machine. I'm going to go to Computer, install .NET and scan. Kick it off. There you go. It's going to do that and get that all set up and ready to go. So it's running at this point. While we're talking about installing stuff, let's jump back over to deploy. All right, let's say there are a bunch of machines you do not ever want to have deployments go to. To do that, you would go to Options, Preferences, Target Filters. Now, a couple of things about target filters. What were you saying? It's a good, safety net, you were saying?
It's a good fail-safe because all of our deployments, we put quite a bit of logic into it, and I'm sure everyone at home does as well. But the logic is as good as we make it. So if you make a mistake, you don't want to deploy the wrong thing. So having something in the exclusion means even if you accidentally include a domain controller, you're not going to reboot it by having logic that wasn't working the way you expected.
Absolutely. So what I did was I did a wildcard. Do not deploy to anything with a D anything. Starts with the letter D. I also added a subnet here. Okay. And now if I try to deploy to anything that's either on that subnet or any machine that starts with the letter D, it's not going to do it. So,
and
now,
the error message you get will specify this because of the exclusion, so it's easy to track down. If you want to, you just know you have to go in and remove that.
Absolutely. Now let me explain the difference between exclusions and inclusions. I'm going to delete this because If I decide to deploy something, it's going to cause me problems, and then I'll have to troubleshoot. Anywho, inclusions. A little more hands-on, I think. Is that a good way to put it? So let's say I want to include, any machine that has DC in it, okay? Starts with the letter DC, so that's my DCs. I'm going to install to those. Well, anything that starts with any letter or any combination other than DC is not going to get your installation or your deployments at this point. So either you have to put them all in. It's like, okay, these are whitelisted machines per se is a good way to think about it.
Yeah, similar to email. If you set the whitelist, then you're going to have to set everything that you want to deploy to. If you set the blacklist, then when you add a new machine, it's not necessarily going to be excluded by default.
So I find it easier to use exclude as opposed to include. Any comments, any other thoughts on that? Nope. All right. Cool. Now, another thing I just learned yesterday. And I think I've learned this twice now. It just finally sunk in. Copy and paste. Things that you can copy and paste. Jordan, it's all XML. I mean, you were explaining this to me when we were talking about it. Well, I pull this up to do it. So.
Yeah, when you're copy and pasting or importing and exporting, it's all XML. And, I mean, both the products were written by us, so we might as well make it so the deploy knows how to handle an XML from inventory. Not necessarily, you're not going to be able to obviously create a collection from it, but you can grab an XML of machines and it will add it to a deployment.
There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the computer details. All right, right click, copy. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to build a new scanner. I'm going to right click and paste. There it is, computer details got pasted in there. And obviously add something else to PowerShell or a WMI at this point. And so that new scanner has that computer details and so there's the copy paste there. Another good copy paste is this. 20 machines in Chrome old. I want to test it on a few. So I'm going to go highlight a few of these. Right click, go to copy, go back over to deploy, start my deployment, hit deploy once, and then paste these machines right in there. And I can hit deploy now. So I've copied and pasted in between inventory and deploy.
So in a lot of cases, drag and drop does work. We're just not showing that because we have to remove our windows from being centered.
Move them around.
That makes
yeah.
Jake very mad.
Very mad.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Another thing really interesting that is nice. Let's say you are migrating from machine A to machine B. You can actually copy and paste these from remote desktop sessions. So you can copy from inventory collection from inventory on A and paste it in inventory on B, and it'll move back and forth. So
If you don't have the clipboard enabled on RDP, you're going to want to set that up because that's...
what? There's a caveat?
There is.
In that case, there is. So again, in the vein of being as lazy as me and Jordan, we try to help you out as best as possible. Do we want to take another question at this point?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of questions, actually. Hey, Lex, Jordan, and Colby, any plans to add more packages to the package library so I can be lazy and not maintain my own? Example, Google Backup and Sync. Thanks, Darrell S.
Darrell. I like it.
We love adding more packages, but it's not about our ability to do it. It's about whether we can get permission from the company to do that. A lot of times they like to be the distributor of it.
Yeah. So again, like just to reiterate what Jordan says, we've got agreements. Microsoft says go ahead and distribute the cumulative updates, but you can't distribute Office.
Yep.
So for a lot of those, we'll make videos that are very common so you can follow along and build your own. And then one more throwdown on that is we also have a webcast on how to automate packages that are not in our package library, and that is awesome. So a couple ways to get around that or do that, but yeah, I'm sure we're always looking to add new packages. So let's take another question.
Hey guys, trying unsuccessfully to deploy TeamViewer with our specific settings. We have paid licenses and can deploy via the package PDQ Deploy offers, but we need our paid version and setup to be deployed. I have Googled unsuccessfully and my baldness doesn't permit pulling any further hair out. Help, please, and Donka, Badenchuk.
TeamViewer. Now, paid version of TeamViewer, I think you can use, and this is, I think, because I tried this and I think it worked, and this was a while ago. You deploy the version that we've got. You just need to make sure you add I don't know if it's an INI file or a config file that actually has your licensing to pump into that. But any thoughts?
I mean, that's one where if we haven't done it, it would require research.
Yeah.
I think if you put in a ticket with the service desk, they would at least be able to point you in the right direction if they can't help you out with that one.
And I would definitely just, Google TeamViewer, silently install the pro version, see what they have to say.
He said that's what's causing him to pull his hair out.
Oh, that is, right?
Yeah, so
There.
I would say I would contact our support and see if they have something that might get you going.
Tricks on that, yeah. Good point. All right, interestingly, we got another one in here, a tip and a trick question about pre and post steps. So just so happens, guys, that Mozilla Firefox, I've got an old version here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go add a pre and a post step to this. Pre-step, nested package, we'll say in this case, I'm going to install, I don't know, Flash for Firefox before Firefox? I don't know. Anywho, and then my post step will be a reboot step. Okay, there they are. I'm going to save this. Now, the good thing about pre and post steps is when the package updates, we retain the pre and post steps. So we've got pre and post steps in that. You take a look, there we go. And I just so happen to have Firefox ready for the approve now. And away it goes. So when this is done downloading, you'll see we've retained your pre and post step. So again, great thing about this, if there's any reboots you want to do afterwards, any pre-steps, prereqs, you can put that in the pre-step of these packages, and then there we go, we're at the new version. Oh. And if you click on the right thing, not .NET 4.8, there we go. Install Flash, and our post-step, reboot step, we're both retained. So great way to do some pre-work and post-work and have the guts of the package get updated. Have you ever had any pre and post step,
I can see where I might have used it in certain things at my last job, but where most of the stuff that was in there was just basically when I was QA and I was testing that it worked. So I put stuff in there, but it wasn't really required for the actual deployment.
Interesting. All right, let's see. Running as a logged on user. When to use that? Got a treat for you guys today. So anytime you want to run something as the user that is logged in, I mean, it kind of makes sense there. It's redundant. I'm going to log into Allen Rails. Now, we've logged in with Quintana here, okay? And caveat, when you run stuff as a logged in user, if you're going to do anything that requires admin privileges, if they don't have those, it's probably not going to work real well for you. I did build a really, really cool package called Jordan's Sexy Video that I want everyone to see. And for them to see it, I need to run as the logged in user. So here is one instance where you would definitely want to run as a logged in user. So
This is a good time to mention that you really shouldn't call the video editor a nerd.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion is advised. Well, there we go, Allen Rails. I wonder what's going to happen, Jordan.
I don't know. This process was made famous by Chris. You used to get the He-Man singing "Hey Ya" pop up on your computer when he was testing. You knew when he was really testing.
He was doing that
based on the number of YouTube interruptions.
Well, I just deployed that to Allen Rails. Let's see what happens. Oh, check it out.
I don't like this.
Sexy McBritches dating profile.
Oh, can you center?
Yeah, drag it over a little
Drag
bit.
it over so you can actually.
We want
see
my
it.
full shame.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that sexy beast right there.
Yeah, those dance moves. They got to be capturing the ladies.
The good news is no one has to worry about bringing sexy back because I've done it.
You've done it with a
I've done
piece
it.
of pizza.
That's right. Anyone that can love pizza that much can love a person, I think.
Love a person. So this brings me back to what I really want to teach you, which is don't mess with the person running deploy and inventory because they can mess with you really well. Anywho, there's just an example to do it. And again, here is the package. It's running start a video under options, run as logged on user. There you go. That's where you set it. And we'll make that video available for you guys.
I don't think that's a public video.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
that is-
not. If you want it, chime in. We'll make sure you get a copy along with a body put. I'm just kidding.
Wait for my director's cut to come out, though. It'll have
Ooh,
a lot
I
of
am
extra
intrigued
stuff.
by the director's cut.
The director's cut. I brought up building new scanners, right? And copy and paste and stuff. But WMI queries, I'm just going to show you guys how to use the WMI Explorer, okay? It launches, all right? This, I can't for the life of me write WQL queries without assistance. And usually Colby has my phone number blocked, so I have to actually do some of my own work. So at this point, when you launch this, you need to connect. It's going to connect to the machine, obviously Guinness, where we're running things. Now, let's say I'm looking for user profiles. I can go up here and I can filter at the top level, okay? That is like running find in your registry from the very top level. It's going to take a very long time. Usually what I'll do is I will do a little Google foo to try and at least limit that. So let's say we're going to find user profiles in Sim V2. You click on it once, it expands it. But when you need to double click on these, you'll notice right here, it's enumerating the class. That sometimes can take a little bit of time because of how many available objects are in that class, so, or classes in that object. Don't get hung up on the nomenclature, guys. And at this point, I'm just going to look for a user, and it helps if you can spell, which we all know I can't. All the different group user, logged on user, roaming profile user, user profile, okay? Also with this, it's really a good practice to execute this to see a couple of things. One, how long does it run? That one's pretty quick. Josh gave me a query. He says, make sure when you do this one, if you're looking for product keys, if you don't put the where clause in, it runs for about 45 minutes. So again, test it before you put it in production. The other thing it does for you is it lets you look at what's in here, which at this point doesn't mean a whole lot to me as I'm scrolling through here. And you know what? There's not a whole lot short of the local path. So instead of filling my database with a bunch of stuff I really don't want, I just grab the specific column I want, and then I execute it one more time to make sure I spell it right, because we all have seen how I spell. There you go.
So one thing to watch out for, that is the WMI on the machine it's installed on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're grabbing it from a modern Windows 10 and you deploy that WMI query to a server 2012, it's not necessarily going to be there.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so this is a challenge for everyone in the chat.
There we go. Throwdown.
If you can find out how to get antivirus information off of WMI on server 2012 R2.
Windows Defender information.
Windows Defender
specifically, yeah.
information.
You will have out Google Food us. We had a little contest yesterday to see who could find it the fastest.
I found a
and
lot of ways to not get the information.
Let's just put it this way. It went a lot like the first presidential debate. We both lost.
So we did find that the reason it's not there, easy to find, is back then in servers there was no antivirus installed by default, so the WMI wasn't really in a known location, where in the later ones, 2016, it's under Security Center 2, and it's just all right there because it starts with Defender installed. So I don't know. Maybe it's because the machines we're testing on didn't have an antivirus installed, so there was nothing built yet. But we did not find it.
We had a hard time. We couldn't find it. So there you go. There's your throwdown. We'd like to know if you can find it. I think it's a good time now to take a step into things I do really well.
Although, can I jump in?
Yeah.
One? Jordan, I just have to let you know, your Sexy McBritches video has just gone live on our internal Slack, and it's trending.
Oh, it's
That's good.
trending.
Yeah,
I
there you
love
go.
it.
Well, you got to give the people what they want, and that's it.
Give the
That is
people
what the
what they
people
want.
want.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna send that to my wife and see how she likes it.
See how she responds to us pimping you out? All right. I guess it's a good time for me to jump into things I am very, very strong at. PowerShell and CLI.
Just get off the camera.
What?
Get off the camera.
Okay, he's actually right. I'm just going to take my drink. It'd be like taking my ball and going home, but I'm taking my drink and I'm leaving.
You're tagging out, Lex?
Well, I thought I got benched.
I'm here
there's
because
that.
I have fooled up to 3 people that I understand how PowerShell works. So, and this one, for the earlier question we had about creating more packages, Lex gave a throwback to the webcast about automating that. This script is a big piece of that. So basically, what we wrote this one for is that it goes through for packages that aren't in a library. You add it to a folder, and from the folder, it will update your custom variables automatically on deploy and inventory, as well as clear out the schedule. So that way, a new version comes out, you just have to put it into a folder, and it will. It's not fully automated, but it's a lot closer. So basically, what we're doing, as you can see here, it's we're grabbing two things like Epic Pen here. We grab the schedule ID 16. That is important. If you delete and rebuild the schedule, you're going to want to change that schedule ID. The ID is not static, so you need to make sure that this matches what's in there. And then the custom variable, in this case, we called it Epic Pen version, or with our test one. So if you have multiple, no matter how many packages you have, you just come through and you add another block here with the same information, and then at the end with the auto package, you just want to combine it all together. All right, and so what we're doing is, say Epic Pen comes out, it has a newer version. You're going to go into your folder where you store your Epic Pen. Probably not your repository, or I guess it's part of a package. It's not going to be deleted, so it'd work.
Yeah, I usually put it in a repository.
Repository just in there. So you're going to have a folder called old, and then the existing one. So you're going to build another folder, and you're going to name it whatever the new version is. So then when this package kicks off, it's going to go through. It's going to remove the older folder. It's going to move it up to old, based on the count of, it counts to 3, basically. PowerShell can count all the way to 3. All right, and then it's going to grab the name of that folder, which is the version number, and update all your variables. So if you typo the version number, or you put something, hilarious but not relevant, it's going to make your custom variables hilarious but not relevant. All right, and then from there, it goes through, it grabs information, and then here is the command line where it is updating those custom variables with all the information that we grabbed. So you don't have to worry about updating that on your machines. And then the last step that it does, because you have to, on this one, you have to check the stop deploying if it was successful. So even though it's all updated, that schedule's not going to deploy anyway. So we ran this section here, which will go in through, runs a SQL query, and just deletes the entire history. So this just kind of gives you a way to semi-automate packaging for the ones that we can't, as well as it shows you can update variables without having to go in and manually do that one.
Sweet.
I guess we're doing a speed round. This is why you save PowerShell for last.
Oh, yeah. I know what I'm doing.
Let the speed round begin.
Let it begin. Hey guys, when will we see updates for Windows 10 2009? Sincerely, Stewie G.
Is that still not? Because that came out last week, right? Or went live last Wednesday, I think.
I think so.
So hopefully it is. Let's go take a look. If I can find it, I've lost myself. Where am I?
You're in
Operating
inventory.
systems.
You need to be in deploy.
You're at work, Jordan.
Oh,
You're at work.
well, I was looking for the collection one, but we're actually looking for the package itself. Let's see. Package library. What are we looking for? 2009? Nope.
Put in Win space 10 as your filter. We'll pull them all up.
Space 10. Well, it would be if I went off of
Oh, 2009,
updates to
that
the
probably
packages.
showed up too.
Yeah, so 2004 is in there. When was 2009 released? I suppose, or which one is the? Because let's see, the 2004 we updated October 13th.
I don't think we have packages for it yet.
We don't have that one yet. All right.
Yeah, I believe it, like Microsoft released it recently, but I don't think we have packages yet.
Okay.
I believe those are coming soon.
Okay. And
Coming to a
if they just
theater near
barely
you.
released the creators update that goes up to 2009, there hasn't been a cumulative update yet. So next Patch Tuesday, when there is cumulative updates, they'll build it then. Since we don't handle the creator builds, only the updates. So next Patch Tuesday would be my guess. Now that I think about it, I
Yeah.
should have thought of that last week. All right, next question. That was not a speed round.
No, it was not. Hey guys, I'm still fairly new to using the PowerShell scanner option in inventory. Is there any way to scan for user login history on a machine and have it show up when viewing the computer in inventory? Frederic H.
So we have a repository on GitHub of built-in scanners. There is one for logged on user, but it does base on your history of the log. So if you only keep that for 3 weeks, it's only going to go back 3 weeks and find that one. But if you scan it and you come into where the PowerShell scanner is, For PowerShell, just you go through and find out which one it is. So it's not directly on the computer's page, but you can come to the scanner they have built there. If you
Doesn't that scanner, it looks at the event log, right?
yeah, and we have another one. I think I did a video on it where we use a different tool that returned it as a block of text, and then we used regex to condense that down. It runs a little bit faster, and it doesn't require the same history. I don't know if that one is in the repository or not. I'll have to take a look at that one. If not, we definitely have a video on it.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Hey all, what do you think is the best way to find computers that have a pending reboot? Thanks, Jerry Lewis? Wow, impressive.
So if you go, the best way to find it, it's in you open a computer and go to the Computers tab. And if you scroll to the bottom of that, you'll see pending reboot right there. You can build a dynamic collection off that. Actually, I think we've got a collection already built for pending reboots.
Yeah.
So if you go over to the left side there and scroll down,
See if we can find it instead of doing the search.
search the way I do with the scroll wheel.
Yeah, there's reboot required. Is
There
there?
you
Apparently,
go.
we have 19 machines that need a reboot.
Well, this is my lab, so
Mind your business inventory.
that's right.
Yeah, so that one does automatically look there. You can have a reboot schedule based on that. You might want to decide how aggressive you want
Be
that
careful
reboot to be.
with reboots.
Yeah, that's where the target filters for your domain controllers
Would come into play, yes.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
Oh, yes.
All
Yes,
right.
we do. Hey, guys, on occasion, I have to deploy to large groups of machines, 40 to 45. Sometimes groups of these will error out due to old scan data. Is there a way I can mass refresh an isolated group of machines prior to deployment without needing to make a temporary static collection? Sincerely, Antonio L.
So deploying and then the inventory
So
on it. You can.
I've got an idea on that. So let's say we're going to deploy Chrome. So if you go into Chrome and you put a pre-step in there to do an application scan, when it goes to do that, it will scan the machines, update the applications in that case on those machines, and then make the attempt to scan it. So depending on the scanner you want, any scanner that you built, you can put that in. There you go.
Yes, if you do the default, it's going to scan. There's quite a few scanners, but if you come in here with the scan step and just set it to applications, then it is going to scan and update inventory before it starts the deployment, because that would be the first step.
Yep.
All right,
You guys are doing well on the speed round.
we're doing better now.
You're doing much better.
All right.
Hey guys, I am using a PDQ package to install all our baseline software on freshly imaged computers. Is it possible to have PDQ run the check online for Microsoft updates to pull down all the latest updates directly from Microsoft? Sincerely, Dean Martin.
Without knowing the command line off the top of my head, there is PowerShell commandlets that will force you to do that. So you could just add a PowerShell step at the end that runs that command, and it should then force that to check for it. I don't know it off the top of my head. I don't know if Colby does.
I would also recommend looking into the PS Windows Update module.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of, and that, yeah, the modules for PowerShell will let you, that's probably where my command is. So yeah, you're going to want to have that module on a network share if it doesn't automatically install, or is it on there by default?
Well, it's in the gallery.
Oh, it's in the
You can-
gallery. Oh, fantastic. Then
Yeah.
easy. So just research the PS update,
PS Windows
PS
Update.
Windows Update module. That'll give you the command you need to have it check that at the end.
Okay, two more.
All right.
Hey guys, will the Windows 10 cumulative update in the package library update a Windows 10 1709 computer to 2004? If not, can you add a package to the library that would update older Windows 10 machines to the latest? Due to the size of the install, we could include our own ISO files. Again, Durrell S.
So this is the one we kind of touched on briefly. It has been done. You can use our product to do it. We haven't built that as a package because it takes so long to update most times that it will report back as a failure. So we have a hard time standing behind it as guaranteed to work, where there's a lot of unknown variables. It times out.
And that's your feature upgrade jump, and that is not a cumulative update. That's a different beast in and of itself.
Yeah. So there are people that have done it, and they're in our forums, and they've explained how they do it. So if you read up on that, you can see how to do it. But it's just something where we can't guarantee the reports back in time. It makes it hard to stand behind the
I
work.
actually did a video on how to do this, and I covered all the caveats. So if you search for that video, listen, make sure you know the caveats of doing that before you do it, and have at it if you want.
All right, final question.
Yes, our final question of the day. Hey guys, is there a way to install IcedTea-Web with the AdoptOpenJdk package in the package library? It's an argument for the MSI, but that can't be changed on auto-download packages. Thanks, Stephen. Why?
So the first, when you say iced tea, I can just think of the wrapper, and then I got stuck.
I know, I was impressed he had his own web thingy, so yeah.
I think it was like the Samuel Jackson voiceover for Alexa. But
It would be grayed out if it was auto download where you wouldn't be able to change those MSIs.
Huh.
I don't know if there's if at the pre-step you could do something that would, because does it use an MSI flag or does it use a config file? Because a config file you could have a pre-step that modifies
the config file, yeah.
the config
I never
file,
thought
but
of
if
that.
it's an actual MSI one, I don't see a way to keep that automated without. I don't know of a way to change those with the auto download package.
Yeah. We're looking at you, Colby.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Nope, not without turning it into a standard package,
Standard
but then you
package, yeah.
lose the auto download.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's no great way to do that with that modification.
All right, we had a couple more come in.
Yeah, we actually have a couple more questions. Hey guys, what is the amount of time in between reboots that PDQ Inventory thinks a reboot is required? Sincerely, Kenneth or Kenneth D.
I don't think it's a time limit. I think it looks for something.
It's a registry entry it's
Registry
looking
entry,
for. Yeah. So
I'm not
if
sure.
that flag is flipped, it says it needs to be a reboot at that point.
Yeah, basically, registry in Windows lets it know it needs to reboot, and we just find that.
Yep.
And this time I think this is our final question. Hey guys, late to the show here. Just bought PDQ Deploy. We are using it to push Office 365. It's set in the XML to pin the icons, but it's not doing it. Does PDQ need DLL switches to make that happen? Also, how do I check if they already have Office 365 so it doesn't try to deploy again? Thanks, Mallory P.
So as far as to see if it is already has it, you can create collections for Office 365. I don't think we have those ones by default.
There's that. If you're scheduling it to go out, make sure you hit that stop deploying once it succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it in the history. As for setting up or building your package for Office 365, we have very comprehensive videos out there on how to do it. It'll take you through the Office customization tool and everything you need to build that so that it's customized for your environment. So I highly suggest you hit that. Just go to our web channel and search for Office, and there will be a ton of Office videos out there.
Is Office 365, is it a per user install or is that a machine install?
Boy,
If it's per user, you might have to set that as when it runs as logged on user instead. But if it's machine, I mean, if the setting works, it should.
I do know in that video, I think Brig and Josh covered that
Okay.
in regards to the customization tool, the online customization tool for
Okay.
that. So
Yes.
good place to start anyways, or look.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I always love webcasts when we get to piggyback on other people's way better ideas. Hopefully you learn something. You get some ideas that you can even build on to just automate everything. Laziness is a state that you have to work for, but once you get it, it's the best state. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Jay Lewis and D. Martin, winners of PDQ swag. Please send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support forums. Thanks again for joining us. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you back here next week.